Hi everyone, I'm Antonio King. In this presentation, I'm going to walk you through the initiative and the referendum process in Arizona. These two tools give power straight to the people, and they play a big role in Arizona versions of direct democracy. Over the next few minutes, I'll break down what they mean, how they're created, the pros and cons, how they're different, and why they matter. Let's go ahead and dive in. An initiative starts with the people. It gives everyday citizens a chance to create a new law or even a constitutional amendment if they feel something needs to change. This is huge because it means you don't have to be a politician to make an impact. Once the proposal is written, it goes through a signature gathering process. The number of signatures needed depends on what kind of law it is. If it's just a regular law, the number is lower. But if it's a constitutional amendment, you'll need a lot more. After that, if everything is verified by the state, it shows up on the ballot for voters to decide. A referendum is different from an initiative because it usually deals with the laws that have already been passed or proposed by the state legislature. There are two types. One that the legislature refers to the voters, and one called a veto referendum. The veto kind happens when citizens disagree with the law that got passed or they want the public to decide whether it should stay. Just like the initiatives, signatures are required to get it on the ballot. The key thing is, with referendums, voters have the final word. It's another way to make sure the people stay in control. Let me walk you through how an initiative goes from an idea to a ballot measure. First, a person or group writes in a proposal. This isn't just a random idea, it has to be a legal language that could actually be turned into a law. Then it gets submitted to the state for review. After that comes the hard part, collecting signatures. Depending on the type of law, the group might need tens of thousands of signatures. This has to be from registered voters and collected within a certain time. Once those signatures are turned in, the state verifies them. If everything checks out, the initiative gets added to the next election ballot. Referendums come together a little differently. Sometimes the legislature will pass a law but decide to let voters have the final say so. It's called legislative referendum. But other times, voters might not agree with the law that just passed. That's when a veto referendum comes in. Citizens have the right to gather signatures and challenge the law by putting it on the ballot. Just like initiatives, there's a required number of valid signatures that have to be turned in on time. If that happens, the law doesn't take effect unless voters approve it. Now let's compare the two. They have a lot in common. Both of them give voters a direct say in what becomes a law. That's why they're a part of what we call direct democracy. But they also have some key differences. Initiatives start with the people. They're used to create something new. Referendums, on the other hand, usually deal with the laws that already exist or are about to take effect. So while they both give powers to voters, they're used at different points in the lawmaking process. There are definitely pros and cons to both processes. On the positive side, they give regular people the power to create or reject laws, which helps keep politicians in check. It also makes people feel more involved and encourage civic engagement. But there are also challenges. Campaigns can be expensive, and special interest groups with money can influence people to vote. On top of that, not every voter understands all details and complex laws. Sometimes there are too many measures on the ballot, and they can confuse a lot of people or make them tune out. Arizona has a long history with direct democracy. Even before it officially became a state in 1912, it already included 6 major direct democracy tools in the 1910 Constitution. This came from the progressive era, a time when people were pushing for more control and transparency in the government. Since then, Arizona citizens have used initiatives and referendum over 100 times. It shows that it just isn't something that exists on paper. It's something that the people actually use to influence real change. So why should we even care about any of this? Because it still matters today. People in Arizona continue to use the tools to push laws for education, healthcare, voting rights, and more. Whether it's legalizing marijuana or increasing teacher pay, initiatives, or referendums, give people a way to fight for what they believe in. In a time when a lot of people fear their voice doesn't matter, these processes prove that it actually does. These are the sources I used to build my presentation. The main one was our course textbooks, Understanding the Arizona Constitution, and I also used information from the Arizona Legislature website. I used these to make sure everything I shared was accurate and up to date.